morning, race fans. Good morning, race fans. It is June 2nd, 2023, and we're now about 12 minutes before FP1 for the Grand Prix starts. Hey, this is Racing Statistics, and this is Grash talking to you right now. You guys hearing me? Am I coming through the channel right now? Doing a radio check. Good morning. You guys hear me? Am I coming through? Hello, hello. Someone say yes, I can hear you, Grash. You guys hear me? Check, 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 check. 10-10 over. That's... I guess we're doing fine. Good, cool. We can hear you. Awesome. All right. Again, here we go. We are again. It's the Spanish Grand Prix, free practice 1. 11 minutes ago. Before we get to that session, want to welcome everyone to the channel. Thank Race Statistics for hosting this again. Again, this is Grash. Glad to be here with you. We've got a lot to talk about. Did a lot of notes before. The big one is the track itself to start off with. There used to be a chicane. That is now gone. That's now a one big turn 9. This had been added in 2007, but and so it's now returned back to the original grade. And one of the interesting things is that in 2006, the last race in the configuration that we see now, it's sort of the configuration we have now. It's not the exact same, but it is but it's close to it. But in that without the chicane, Alonso was the last winner. It was also his last win, and it was his last win in his last one. This was in the V8 era. So ever going forward, he has not won a race in the hybrid era. So chicane is gone. The consequences of the chicane being gone is that we get this now big nice curve. The expected change is going to produce additional wear on the front, particularly the front left tires. And this is the additional wear on the tires with downforce. What's going on? It's going to be an ongoing things. Lando is one of the few drivers that mentioned that next gen it will cause. I don't think our map is wrong. I believe it's been changed. Also, again, it's early. The session doesn't start, so we don't have data on it just yet. Moving on, one of the things about, again, because of the change, they've added a new tech tope area by that area. So if the drivers go off at high speed over the gravel trap, there's now another layer of tech tope barriers there to stop those drivers. So the result is the high speed of the circuit results in more tire derogation. This is something Hamilton talks about. Potterhouse saying, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the super chat. One of the things that we're also going to see going on during Free Practice 1 and Free Practice 2 is that Pirelli is going to be testing a new prototype compound. And the issue what's going on right now is that in Pirelli's estimates at the beginning of the season, they did not expect the cars to be faster and induce much more downforce than previous estimated. And so what they're doing right now is they're taking one of the tires from they had planned for 2004. Basically, it's using new materials, and the construction is basically being changed. I'm not. I live in Texas, but I'm really from New England. That's really a better description of who I am. But I'm an American. If you want to be gross and crass that way. But moving forwards. The new tires are going to be more resistant, and they're designed to be that way without changing other factors of the tires, because basically the current cars basically are putting more pressure and putting more downforce on those cars. And as a result, basically Pirelli is trying to get ahead of the curve with tires as opposed to something happening. RS in chat with the super chat, looking forward to the race. I am looking for the race as well. So that's one of the things that's going on. So that's something that's going to be particular for these tires. The tires, again, this new compound will debut officially at Silverstone about 4 to 5 weeks from now. It's interesting that tire compound changes, this is one of the rules things, is that they're only allowed with permission from the F1 Commission, or they are forced through via the FIA on safety reasons. What we know is that these changes are going through the commission. So the teams have signed off on all these changes. I don't know which compound the prototype is supposed to be an analog to for next year. And that's the one thing that I can't grab my hand around. That piece of data is not out there in the open at the moment. Speaking of tires themselves, we're using the C1, C2, C3. Of note, C3 were used as the hard compound at Monaco. They're going to be our soft compound this week. C1 being the hard this weekend and C2 being our medium. The C1 is a new compound for this year. So again, what we had C1 for last year is now been labeled as C0. And by using C1, what they're looking to do is what they're doing is they built a compound that's between last year's C1 and the C2 compound that we know. What they're hoping for is that teams have more strategic choices because they didn't even bother using the hard compound last year at all. So we're looking at the performance in C1 is going to be there for the teams. The drivers will be given 2 hards, 3 mediums, 8 softs. So you can see a lot of softs. The green inners and the new blue non-blanket wets. For those who weren't paying attention last week at Monaco, a couple drivers put on the wet tires. Checo, for example, was one of them. That's a new compound wet blue that is designed specifically not to use tire blankets, and this is part of the process of Pirelli is working with FIA and F1 to remove tire blankets, and that's a whole big bowl of mess on its own. That may not actually happen. It's going to take a while. If that's going to happen, it's going to take a while for that to happen. Going through my notes right now. We have a poll right now, and one part of what that is, how do you guys think about, because Max says he thinks that there is a potential opportunity for Red Bull to win all of the races. So that's both Checo and himself, Max, to win all of the races this year. And it's growing. I mean, that's reported by Will Buxton. It's been reported a couple other places. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Is it likely? No. But is it interesting to think about at this point? Definitely. Potterhouse giving us another super chat. Thank you so much again. Rooting for Alonso for another podium this weekend. I'm rooting for another podium, to be quite honest. I actually want him to win. I really would want him to win. This is his home race. It would be the fairy tale story if Alonso were to win this weekend. Again, the last time he won was here in another era of F1 racing altogether. So it's very interesting. It'd be a nice history tie up, in a way that normally does not happen. One of the big things that's going on right now with Red Bull is that they are bleeding some of their talent into, their engineering talent. And Rob Russell's the latest one to leave. He's leaving from McLaren. So basically, he won't be with McLaren until the beginning of January 1st next year. That is what they refer to as the gardening period, because they can't do any. When they leave, they have it's in their contracts with that they can't just jump from another team right away. his roles, there were two things that were mentioned about Marshall. One, he was the lead on the 2026 car development for Red Bull, and he was referred to as basically being a anchoring point to keep Newey on track, to keep him within reality. And that's interesting. That's how he's being referred to. Moving on with Ferrari, they have upgrades, and they're basically the philosophy with Ferrari is that they're going to evolve their car design rather than Mercedes doing the full reboot. So they've, particularly this weekend, they have evolved their side pods. And there is an F1 tech video. I think right now it's still only on the F1 TV side of things. I don't think they've got it on YouTube yet. But there's a video where they talk about what is going on with that side pod, and they've got Lawrence Barretto with the F1 tech person talking about it. More parts, again, basically because Imola didn't happen, they basically pushed parts back to be tested here as opposed to Monaco. Again, you're gonna, a lot of teams are going to be bringing up a lot of updates and things to their cars, and partly because they know this track so well. They've done, beside the races that they have here, we had preseason testing here in Barcelona as well. This is the track where they did that. So this when we look at the rookies going to that in that respects, they know this track. They race it in F2, they race it in F3. They are going on underbody tunnel that's under the radiator port. That's one of the things that's going on with that. So Jose in chat says, "Are you talking about the underbody tunnel that's under the radiator port?" That's one of the changes with the side pods, and what I understand is that that particular port goes into the chassis, and it's a loophole that they're running around to with the design of the car. So it's not part of the side pod, it's part of the chassis in some weird way. And we're now into green lights for the session, and I know one of the Ferraris has left the garage. So this could easily be an installation lap at the moment. We'll see at the moment. Alexis, good morning all. Sorry for waking up late. You haven't missed much. It's just cars are just getting on track right now. So again, I'm pointing people to go to that particular video because they explained it a lot better in detail than I can do right now over the stream right now at the moment. We know that Carlos's car has some upgrades. Charles, I think they're doing A/B testing between Charles' car and Carlos's car today. That I don't know. We haven't confirmed where. We know that Charles' car has upgrades, Carlos's car has upgrades. Charles' cars right now, as last I know of, did not have upgrades. So. Having said that, Visser says that they also have upgrades for the next 2-3 races as well. So there's more upgrades to this car as it comes down the pike. Alfa Romeo is also another team that's bringing upgrades this weekend, and I don't have all of them. But so far we have, it looks like, we don't have the timing up yet. It isn't exactly helpful. But I know one of the Aston Martins out on track, and I know one of the Ferraris out on track. And so Fernando is on track right now, and he's got aero rakes on his car, which is interesting. So, for those who don't know, they basically have these devices where they're strapped onto the top of the car, and they have basically sensors extending out, and it's basically they're intended to measure the airflow as the car is going by at speed. We haven't seen them on a car since, I think, preseason testing. So it's interesting to see that they're on the car right now. But again, this is where they're doing the preseason testing, so they can test against what they can test against what they did during preseason testing. See more of you. Hello, Meow. I guess Paula is in there. Jose is here. Cracking Jordans, welcome. 9H, welcome. And already we have Sonoda and Stroll Gasly putting in decent times. We know that from the F2 practice, Vessi did a 126, high 126 in an F2 car. So that's my point of where science has put a 127 on the board. That's not a representative lap. But what we've got now, 123s, 120s, 119s, 118s. Perez doing a 118.781 to start off. Akron, one of our podium from last P3 podium from last week, did a 118.976. And now Max has gone purple across the board with a 117.425. So is Perez ever going to be challenged by others? Alonso's getting close to Perez in terms of points. To be quite honest, he's getting that. That is if Perez keeps having misfortune, Alonso could overtake him. Gasly's jumped to a P2 with 118.213. Again, over about 0.8 slower than Verstappen's, putting out and marking a point on the track right away. So what's interesting, I believe, if I'm reading the F1, Verstappen, Gasly, Perez, Alonso, Sainz, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Leclerc, and Stroll are all using what I believe is the prototype tire. It's labeled a T as opposed to other. So again, there is a new compound here. Again, this is a prototype compound. I don't know where it's supposed to stack up as opposed to our current compounds. It's being tested today in FP1 and FP2. Each team has been given two sets of the compound. Hamilton has now jumped up to a 118.192 on a medium tire. Hulkenberg is in P4, second back on a soft compound. Again, and then the next one on a regular compound is Russell with a 118.926. So it's a new compound. That the purpose of the compound is they're using new materials to help make these tires, make the new compounds resilient. This is what we're going to see in 2024. This is technology from 24 they're pulling back to this year because basically Pirelli is seeing more pressure and more downforce from the speed, downforce and pressure into the tires than they expected. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to get this new compound in sooner to basically cut off basically any possibilities of something going wrong. Verstappen now going another flying lap, fastest sector 1, fastest sector 2 so far. Let's see where he does with his sector 3. In that time, we've got Perez, Tsunoda, Ocon, all jumping into the 117s. And now Verstappen now jumps into the 116.53. So he's pushing those tires, and he's pushing the car. Yeah, the map froze, and it's going to happen a few times, particularly in FP1. Typically, who we are working with for our map, they take a good portion of FP1 to get up and going properly. So the fact that we had some of it already going. So Russell is complaining about a bit of bouncing in the last corner. I believe they've taken the air rakes off of Fernando's car. I think that's who they brought into the pits. We've got Lewis Hamilton on the track, and he basically went over the curbs. One of the things that they've changed with the track is there's a lot of temporary curbs have been removed from the track. And in that regards, they've added, they've extended runoffs. They have extended gravel tracks where they could, again, around that ninth curve where they remove the chicane. The issue is that there's a grandstand that basically is jutting up against. So basically, I've mentioned before, they basically brought in another layer of tecto barriers to place in case someone goes past that gravel trap and goes into that area of the track. Yeah, weed feeder. The number next to each tire is basically how many laps they are using, how many laps they've used on that tire. That's what you will see on our timing screen. The T tires, this is the prototype tire. Again, Verstappen, Perez, Gasly, Ocon, they're all used. And again, Ferrari, Sainz, and Leclerc, Aston, they're all using those tires. So what is likely we're going to see is if they may see those tires get used later. So each team has 2 sets of tires to use. So teams that are not like right now, Mercedes is not using that prototype tire. If they don't use it later this session, I would expect them to using them in FP2. Yeah. No, so again, someone saying Merc upgrade not working. I want to hold off. This is again first practice, but we're also looking at teams using a prototype tire versus other compound tires that we normally know. So, Hamilton is 7th right now. Russell's 11th right now. I'm not really putting too much stock into the versus the Verstappen and Perez 1-2 right now because they're on a prototype tire. And again, we see Hülkenberg in P4 on a soft tire. So this is leading to say that this tire is somewhere maybe a C3, maybe C4 style tire. So it's a softer, faster tire. That's what I'm getting at the moment. So we've got Tsunoda into the pit right now, and unfortunately, the timing that I also use on our screen has something has gone wrong, and I know Race Statistics is working. I understand that our lifetime is not working at the moment. I know Race Statistics is working on that at the moment as well. So just be patient with us. I'm trying to give you the best I can with information. So Perez right now is in a P1 with a 116.583. He's on that, again, prototype tire. Perez is about 0.8. And now he's just jumped. So Perez has just now jumped to P1 with 116.420. And he did that on a medium tire. Tsunoda's right now P3 is second behind. Hülkenberg is on an outlap. Gasly's in the pits right now, 1.3 behind. Ocon's on track with a prototype 1.4. Perez set a fastest P3. Yeah, please do not spam our chat. Thank you. If F1's not showing up, please just refresh the page. No, there's no illegal. We're not going to allow you to. We don't do illegal streams on this channel. Sorry. We're a watch along. Again, Sonia, when you see the T, that means that is a prototype tire. So again, reiterate what I've said before. This is a new tire using materials that will be in the 2024 tires. The construction of this tire is basically is designed to be more resilient, and the reason Pirelli is going forward with this is because the cars are getting more downforce and you're going faster than expected at the beginning of the season, and it's putting stress on the tires that Pirelli. No, they're not ruining tires. They're just, Pirelli did the best estimate they could. Again, the tires, except for the C1, most of the tires that we're seeing this year are pretty much the same ones we saw last year. So moving forward, they're basically bringing in new materials into the tires to be more resilient, to be stronger, in response to the cars getting faster, going with more downforce than expected. I think the prototype tires, again, Max and Perez have just gone P1, P2 with a medium tire. So I'm not sure where it's not that the prototype is faster than a normal one. That prototype tire is probably replacing another tire. We just don't know which tire, which compound it's supposed to be the analog to. That's the only thing I don't know. But it looks like it was C3, C4, seems to be in the area where that tire may be. I'm looking. Why tire information? I'm not sure. Something happened to our timing on our screen. I know Race Statistics is working on that right now. So that's, again, I use that a lot to tell you what's going on in connection with some. As I've just said that science has just jumped to a P8 with 2.5 seconds, 2.4 seconds behind on the prototype tire. Sargent right now, 2.5 seconds behind on prototype tire. His teammate is a few tenths slower on a medium tire so far. So they're showing a replay of Sergio going across the track right now, and he's going through the last corner of before they lead into the finish line, and he's bouncing as well. And we know that Russell also mentioned that. So there's basically some bounciness, bumpiness in that portion of the track. So it's not porpoising, it's the track. And we know this because we've got two different teams having that issue. And there we go. We have our timings back. Hooray. Just looking at where you are right now. What tires were brought by Pirelli? So for the race itself, we've got C1, the new C1 compound, the C2 compound, and the C3 compound. Those are the three race compounds. We are testing another compound that will come into will debut in a month at Silverstone, and it's a new prototype tire that's more resilient than the current compounds. And again, I've mentioned a couple times before why that's so. On top of that, we have our green inners, and we have the new blue non-blanket blues basically, and they debuted they debuted last week at Monaco. So Perez was one of them who tested the tire, put the tire on. What's going on with Merck right now? It looks like Merck is not testing that new tire compound, and they're also testing, what their upgrades. So they're not necessarily going for full speed, because they're most likely testing against the speeds that they were using during the preseason testing. So we'll see them pick up speed later on, if not at the end of this session or later on today. Just right now, they're not doing a program that requires them to be at quality speed. So F1 TV is pointing out that one of the new things on the Mercedes car is a diffuser. Russell right now is on an outlap. He had been on a medium tire. Not sure if that's updated correctly just yet. The hardest compound is the C1. This is the new C1. Hopefully hopefully the C1 is strong enough and fast enough for teams to use this year. The C1 compound they used last year wasn't even none of the teams used. That's now the C0 compound. C2 is our medium and C3 is our hard. I'm sorry, is our soft. C3 was our hard compound last week in Monaco. So top runners are a mix of medium, are all mediums now. Hulkenberg P4 and a soft. So Tsunoda up there on now being pushed down by Sainz, but P and Sainz is on a medium compound. So the only teams on track right now using the new compound are the Williams, Albon, Sargent, and Stroll. Though Stroll is on an outlap, his tire is probably not up to date. I'm just looking through chat right now. Yeah, Valen's pointing that Max is basically instantly on the limit and almost much quicker than anyone else at the starts of practice session. He's done this all year long, going back to the preseason. So basically, he goes out, makes his mark, and tells everyone try and catch him. It's pretty much how this year has been. Sargent just jumped to a P4 with 117.086. He's about a second and a tenth back from Verstappen. So this is one of the things that we are going to see this weekend with the rookies. Basically, the rookies have nowhere to hide. They know this track. They've raced on this track F3, F2, pre-testing, testing. They know the track. Even with the chicane removed, this is familiar ground to every of them. So it's either there's nothing to hide against. They either perform or they don't. And right now we've got Sargent performing. We've got De Vries performing right now. Piastri right now has not set a time. So we will see that in one moment. Though he has gone just updated on the timing sheet. He's gone P13 with 118.129. So RS, will De Vries get some points this weekend? I think he should. I think he's capable of getting points this weekend. The problem that we're dealing with right now is that we had 3 teams last year that were constantly in the top, Aston Martin has upset that mix and has jumped over Mercedes and Ferrari. So now we have 8 teams that are in the top. So it leaves basically 2 spots, unless stuff happens. We've got 2 spots open for those other teams to pick up points. Again, Dan is asking, when he's late to the party, what is Tire T? Tire T is a prototype tire. We're not sure what the analog. It's going to replace one of the tires compounds. I don't know which one it's going to replace. The issue, and they're testing this tire this weekend. This is the final shakedown test of the tire before it debuts at Silverstone. And the reason they're bringing this new tire, this new slick tire, is because Pirelli's trying to get ahead of the curve in terms of what is going on with downforce and speed on the current tires. They're faster. The cars are faster. They're getting more downforce. It's putting more pressure and stress into the current tires. While the current tires are performing, they're okay. Pirelli's trying to get ahead of the curve before things get out of hand. We've got about 25 minutes passed in the session so far. Are we around map? Yeah, the map looked like it has frozen right now. It will probably kick back in another 15 minutes or so. There's probably a data issue that's going on at the moment that we're not getting an update to that map. Again, it's not something that's in-house we programmed. We were working with someone else for that map. And it usually, this is typical for FP1. I'll tell you right now. I've been again with the channel pretty much since it started as racing statistics, and this is common to see this map not be working FP1. It will change, it will update, and it will probably by the end of the session start working again. And with my luck, the way I've been wrong, it will probably be like 3 minutes from now. We've got Ocon setting a new time with a 1:17.126. That's a P6. Sargent is ahead at P6 right now, which is very good performance for him right now. Gasly's up in P2, splitting the Red Bulls with a 1:16.363. So Gasly, where Ocon was on fire last week, Gasly's on fire, and Gasly's having an incredible great season with Alpine, to be quite honest. He is performing extremely well. If Ocon's not performing well, Gasly's performing well, and when Gasly's not performing well, Ocon is performing well. We were wondering if this team was going to explode. They haven't. They haven't. We thought the knives might be out. No, that has not happened. And that's impressive, given their history. Looking through for any questions right now at the moment. Norris has gone to P12 with a 1:17.5. Zhao has gone P13 with a 1:17.526. And those are the big updates on the board right now. Again, we're hitting the halfway mark of this session right now. Again, you're listening to Racing Statistics, and this is Grash talking to you. So Vries has jumped P5 to 1:17 flat, pretty much. If you haven't hit that like button, that'd be great for us right now. If you haven't subscribed, again, we do FP2, FP3, Quali, race, the race shootout, the sprint shootout, the sprint races, and the races themselves when those sprint happens. We got Sparky in chat saying that Gasly is very overrated, just like Danny from Red Bull. He's lost his mojo. I disagree with you on that one. I think he is performing well, considering he's jumped to a new team. Leclerc right now going on a flying lap at the moment. It looks like Ocon's on a flying lap as well. He's improved in his. And Ocon has jumped to a P4 with 116.850. Let's see where Leclerc comes in. Looks like he may have. He only improves to a P9. Looks like something went wrong in the second sector, 1.7.1. So Jasper Singh and says Gasly, Ricciardo, and Perez are in just wrong places at the wrong time. I don't know why you think Perez is in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was brought in to be Max's wingman. That's his role. And he's doing that. He is P2 in the championship. He had a bad race at Monaco. Bottom line, there's nothing to say about that. But like Bottas was unlucky to win, but Bottas wasn't at Mercedes to win a championship. He was at Mercedes to be Hamilton's wingman. He was to be the second driver. Checo is the second driver. He's in the right place where he's needed. He's doing. He's performing extremely well, considering he is the second driver at Red Bull. I'm a little confused at why you're going to throw Checo in with Danny and with Gasly, particularly with Ricciardo. I don't know. He is someone who has lost his mojo, and that's why he is the reserve driver. Yes, they all did. They all did come to F1 to win championships, but that's not why Red Bull hired him. Red Bull hired him to be the second driver. Red Bull hired him because of his ability to be Max's teammate, and as his role as Tappi's teammate is for him to push Max by performing. And as right now, as I say that, Perez has just jumped to the top of the board with 1:15.374 and that's on a soft tire, over a half second faster than Verstappen. Verstappen is out on track. I don't know. And now Max Verstappen's now doing a brutal, again, purple across sector 1, sector 2 already. Let's see. Purple already starting sector 3. Yeah, there's this weird perception about Perez that is like Perez, like it goes from Perez, and Verstappen does a 1:14.460, and he's on a soft tire. There's this weird perception of Perez about there are people who don't like Perez, and I get that, and don't think he's worthy, which is asinine, to be quite honest, because based on, again, the guy's P2 and P2 in the championship and has won races this year. What more can you ask from him? Man, that's 0.7 faster than Perez. We'll see if Perez can get a faster lap. Max is just, ladies and gentlemen, Max is in the zone right now. This is just week after week, race after race, where he has just given us an outstanding performance. Magnussen jumping to a P3, 116.321, within a tenth of Perez. Yeah, Max is just, I mean, when we look at where Hamilton was dominant, where Schumacher was dominant, Max is just in that realm of dominant. So Red Bull has changed the diffuser on the back of the car, and Will Buxton is pointing out. Okay, so the trim on the side of the car and the diffuser, and the diffuser they said because they were looking at what other teams are doing. As I talk about that, Hulkenberg is going to 116.5 on track to go to P6. So at the top we've got Red Bull, we've got Haas, and we've got um, um, Alpine in our top 6. Alonso right now with a P7. De Vries is a P8. Science. So we've got a weird practice going on right now. So Ganley is Manzi Gildas is basically saying last year we had 1.6 second in quali. Again, the track has changed. There's a chicane that has been removed, so we're getting faster times across the board. So that's something to keep in mind here. As they have changed the track layout. We've got a faster track from last year. It's a different track. When Pirelli put up information about the track, there was no track. There is right now no track record because of the changes they've made. So Sam Collins and both Will Buxton are reporting right now that the diffuser shape that Red Bull has put onto their car, they have cheekily said that the shape of the diffuser is inspired from what their rivals have done, which is interesting to hear how and why that came to be. But that's definitely something what's going on at the moment. We're about 23 minutes left in this session right now. I want to thank everyone who's coming, who's been watching with us. Again, this is Crash with you for this first practice. For those who weren't here at the beginning of the session, half of the teams were testing with a prototype tire from Pirelli. They are all now using the regular tires for practice right now. We should expect the other half of the teams that didn't use those tires to do so in FP2. Right now, as the board stands, we've got Verstappen, Perez on top, 1-2, Magnussen 3, Gasly, Ocon 4-5, Hulkenberg 6, Alonso 6, De Vries 8, Sainz 9th, and Sargent P10. Looking down for our other Castry is a P11 and ours is 10th. Anyways, looking at, we have interesting point about Checo, that Checo can't beat Max in a car that was built around him and his driver's style. But again, Max is this is, while we look at it as individuals, it is a team sport. And in this regards, the car is built around Max. He is the number one driver. Yeah, Jose, you talk about the massive grandstands. One of those grandstands is on turn 9 where they removed the chicane. And so while there is a gravel trap between the track and it's not very, very big. And so what they've done is they've gone and they've added a new layer of technical barriers to help be a buffer if a car would go into that area. Looks like Mercedes is on the prototype tire right now. We know definitely Russell is. I don't know if Hamilton is just. He is on the prototype tire. So one of the things that's happened with F1 TV, and I don't know why this is happening, is that the tire types the cars are on aren't updating until they complete a full lap. So the last lap that Hamilton did on the car was a medium tire. That's not correct. It's actually a prototype tire right now, and I don't know what is going on with the F1 graphics, why that is not updating as I would expect it. It's something that happened and it started in Monaco, to be quite honest. We've got 20 minutes left in this session. What's happened with Ferrari? Ferrari's probably just testing stuff. They're not on a quali or race, either on a race pace program, or they're testing something where they're not doing a quali program. Whereas Verstappen has done a quali style program. So for those of you guys don't know, we do have a Discord server. And let me get the link for that for you. If you guys want to join this Discord server, well, we'll and now Sargent, so Bottas has jumped to P3 115.9, and Sargent's jumped to a 116.5. Zhou jumping point to 115 with a 115.9. He is P3, Bottas now P4. We have a lively discussion of what is going on, what banter between race weekends. I know I put in a couple of videos, including like the weekend warm up video on YouTube, got posted into the Discord server. I also posted another video. We were talking about songs about Fernando. There's a Fernando Alonso song. I found it and posted that link on the Discord server as well. So if you're interested in stuff like that, come join us in the Discord server. Max is on track right now, and they're showing. He's not on a flying lap just yet. He will be give him about like 30 seconds. He probably will be. Moving forward, they're mentioning the only two drivers of the two Haas drivers are the only ones who haven't used the prototype tire as of yet. Definitely Hulk Magnussen, I believe, is the one who's not used it at all. Piastri's just jumped up to a P6 with a 116.353. So in the top 10, we have Zhao Bottas, Piastri, Hulkenberg, and Sargent, and Ocon. We don't see our Mercedes. We don't see Norris. Sonoda's not in there. The Ferraris are not in there. Albon's not in there. Stroll is not in there. Alonso's not in the top 10. So this is very interesting. Why Stroll is P20? I have no clue, to be quite honest. That's I don't know if he's. I mean, he's in the pits right now. He may have gone out. He's only done 12 laps. So he might have gone a slower, he was on the prototype tire, but I don't know, what's going on with him at the moment. Weed feeders, Price Haas are even on track following last week quali antics. That's harsh, man. Monaco was a bad. Don't get me wrong. Monaco was bad for them with quality in the race itself. But this is a track that they feel like it suits them. Norris now jumping to P3 with 1:15.783. So we're seeing like all sorts of teams jumping up into this the top 10 that we normally don't see. Stroll is on an outlap right now, and he was last on a medium. I believe he's maybe still on a medium. Sainz jumps to a P3 with a 1:15.726. Looking through right now, Bottas may be on a flying lap. Piastri may be on a flying lap. Bottas has improved in Sector 1. Let's see where else. Stroll still on his outlap right now. De Vries and Leclerc on outlaps right now. So the moment we'll get better time for them. So we got 15 minutes left in this session right now. Again, we've had about 1,500 of you in watching. Thank you for coming and watching with us. Again, doing the best we can, being your watch along for this session. Stroll and Leclerc both in improving their times in Sector 1. So is Bottas. So Bottas on a flying lap again. Stroll, again, is setting his first real proper first flying lap at the moment. He's ahead of Leclerc on track right now. Leclerc going a point at 30.2, where Sainz did a 31.0 in Sector 2. Stroll's going to only jump to P18 with his times. We'll see how Leclerc improves his time. De Vries on a flying lap now. We're going to follow Leclerc as he comes to the end of this. And he's going to jump to a P3 with a 1:15.694. Next to follow right now is going to be De Vries. And he's done a 30.294. He's actually faster. No, he's within a tenth of Leclerc. Leclerc did a point, so he's about 0.2 slower than Leclerc right now. De Vries getting a fastest subsector. He's actually a jump ahead of Leclerc in to P3 with 1:15.504. He's going to be almost 0.2 faster than Leclerc on the board. So that is interesting. We're starting to see the performance that we expected from De Vries. Online, I mean, that's Right now, we've got Will Buxton running around like a madman in the pit lane. Um, why he has not been run over yet, I don't know why. But ooh, we've got who is this? This looks like it's Stroll on track. A little bit of wiggliness. One of the things that they're pointing out on one of the new upgrades to the track is the timing board is now fully digital as opposed to what it was previously. So it's a new timing board, and it looks clean and crisp in terms of what they're showing. Yeah, De Vries is more familiar with the European tracks, definitely, because again, he went through FP2, FP3, Formula E. He's been on this track. He's been he's driven on this track multiple times. He was here early in the season for pre-testing. So but there is rain predicted for Saturday and maybe Sunday. Just showing F1 was just showing a little diagram with of the map is not fully correct in terms of in terms of that. Um, and that will probably, if it doesn't get fixed soon, um, yeah, I don't know if if the map is going to be fixed correctly in terms of, but the chicane is not there. So we got 10 minutes to go. They are saying that in the distance, in the mountains, there is some rains. Um, it won't be affecting this session. Again, 10 minutes. It won't be there, and it won't come down for this afternoon session as well. But they are predicting that there will be rain tomorrow during FP3 and Quali as well. So we'll see how things go. So as they say, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains. Russell is on the prototype tire, and Hamilton is in the pit right now. No, he's actually on the soft tire that's not updated correctly. Looking right now, Ocon has moved up to a P3. Again, right now we got Ocon in P3, 115. We got De Vries in P4, Leclerc and Sainz P5, P6, Norris P7. The Alfa Romeos now ninth and 10th because Gasly's just moved up to P5. Alpine doing extremely well in this practice session. Did not expect them to be up on the board. Russell right now is through sector 2. He's improved on all his times, but he's a second behind where Verstappen is so far. So we will see. He is on a soft tire, so Russell goes to a P15, P8 with a 115. He's a 1.1 seconds behind Max. Max right now did go into a garage. He's out on a new configuration that he doesn't like. I want to thank everyone who's coming. We've got about 7 minutes left in the session. Again, this is Crash. Thank you for coming to Racing Statistics again for our session. I'm going to drop the link to Discord and chat one more time. If you got any questions for me directly, please use at me at Grasheriza in chat. I'm more than willing to take those questions and try and give you an answer what I think based on what's going on at the moment. Looking right now, I think the biggest mover on the board since I last looked, Russell moved to P8 and Tsunoda moved to P11. Tsunoda's teammate, De Vries, is still in P4 at the moment with a 116. He did a 116, though I think his time is faster. I think that was his last lap. Yeah, his last lap was 116. He's actually did his fastest lap was a 115.5. Ocon's asking about whether his engineer's telling him there's nothing threatening it. Is Ham being sneaky? No, not really. He's probably testing something. He's not doing a quality test, quality program. Is definitely what's going on with Hamilton and Russell. Otherwise, they'd be faster. Definitely Hamilton would be higher up on the board. Same with Alonso. One of the things that they're looking at right now is that because there's going to be rain tomorrow, this has become a glorified test session for the car in general. So Alonso just jumped to a P8 with a 115.727. So right now we've got Gasly, Sainz, Russell, Bottas, Magnussen, Albon, and Hamilton all on outlaps. Alonso is just again jumping again to a P8. We've got 5 minutes to go in this session now. Taking a look. And I'm not seeing anyone improving on their times on the board right now. A lot of people are on outlaps right now. And pretty much everyone is on track at this point. Except for Zhou. He's in the pits. Everyone's on softs except for Hamilton, though that may not be correct. We'll see that at the moment. Well, Hamilton's starting with a flying lap with a P in Sector 1. He's improved on his Sector 1 times. Magnussen's looking like he could possibly be on a flying lap. He's improved to Sector 1 times. And then Ocon has sort of improved in one of the subsectors in Sector 1. He's sort of improving in Sector 2. We'll see. It's interesting right now that Perez, Alonso, and Bottas have been on the tires more than 10 laps. 10 for Bottas, 12 for Alonso, Perez at 15. Verstappen has been 15 on the soft tires, and Albon has been on mediums for 9, Sargent on 9 on softs. So Hamilton is on a soft tire, and they're on relatively new. He's just jumped to a P11 with a 115.8. Magnussen on a soft tire. He's improved in Sector 1 and Sector 2 times as well. And he improves in Sector 3 times and jumps to a P6, 115.689. So he gets ahead of Ferrari in P7, P8, which is interesting because, as you know, Haas is using that Ferrari engine. So the customer team is right now faster than the works team. Russell looks like he may be on a flying like. He's improved in some of the subsectors, but not fully. Sainz maybe on. Leclerc definitely on a flying lap at the moment. We'll see how these things go in the moment as these looking for any other updates on the board right now. Anyone who's improving. Archon has only improved at the beginning of Sector 1, nowhere else. Same with Mags in the first part of that. So no one really on a flying lap improving on their times right now, as we're about a minute and a half to go. So Will Buxton is reporting that the weather is coming, but it's probably going to hit when they start their post show in about 3 minutes. So we may not there. So Buxton's saying that it may be a wet session for the afternoon. Stroll right now on softs, improving in his sector 1 times. Alonso improving in sector 1 times. So the Aston Martins are doing a flying lap right now. Norris, Zhao, Passy, Hulkenberg are all on the prototype tires right now. That's what the T stands for. Again, it is a replacement for one of the compounds. It will be debuting in Silverstone, and the purpose of this new compound is to bring in the new materials that they've designed for 2024 early, because ultimately, only the tires that they've basically the tires from last year, what they expected for speed and downforce was higher than expected, and so Pirelli's trying to be ahead of the curve on that issue. Hankins asking, Checo second driver, Red Bull Racers line the fastest possible 2020 rig for which suited Perez best. The car was overweight, and when they lost weight, the car suited Max better. And but the car was gonna be overweight. So here's the thing about that. You are probably correct about it suited Perez better. Ricardo said that he was treated equal to Max when he was a Red Bull. Yeah, but Hank, oh, we just got an incident. Sargent and Gasly touched on the track. We're getting a replay? Our time has ended. We're getting a replay of that incident on track? So cars are now taking the checkered flag for this session. You will see that everyone's on track, mostly because they're going to go around and then they'll do practice starts. Yeah, Hank, I'm not really sure that Ricardo, that he would be treated equal to Max at Red Bull Racing. Max, they knew Max was the future. Max was their next Verstappen. They knew that early on. And Ricardo, I mean, if he was treated equal to Max, why did he leave? So there's a bit of wish-washiness about that statement right there. But let's go back to your previous statement about where the car was overweight. All the cars were overweight, and that just happened to suit Checo better. But don't get me wrong. I mean, there were points where Checo was where the car lost weight and improved for Max. It was going to improve for Max anyways. Max is the number one driver in that team, and Checo is the second driver. And again, that's not a slight or a. I love Checo. Don't get me wrong. I believe Checo is a great driver, but Max is a better driver. He's just. I don't know what to tell you. He's just. He is. He is the modern day Schumacher. He's the modern day Hamilton 5 years ago. I don't know. I don't tell you. I mean, like Verstappen's doing things that are just incredible. They are insane, and I'm enjoying. Having said that, I don't have a dog in any particular fight, so I can sit back and say, wow, that's an incredible performance by Verstappen. But having said that, don't get me wrong, Checo won Monaco last year. Checo won races last year. Checo has won races this year. And just because we've got some things I'm looking at the moment right now, I may have to be a moderator out of nowhere. But don't get me wrong. I love Checo. He's an interesting driver. I love how he approaches things. But he's in a role where he is Max's second. He's Max's wingman. And that's not a slight on him or his ability. That is his role. Because this is not an individual sport, it is a team sport. Because if you listen to Horner, it's great that Verstappen won the world championship, the drivers' championship. It's great that Perez won races. But it's more important that the team won the constructors. And that's more important. That, again, ultimately more important than, the constructors is more important than the drivers' championship when you listen to Horner. And that's where it is. And again, I'm coming from this, before I was big into motorsports, I was following the Tour de France. And that is a very much a team sport. There's, we really have two here. There was 9 to 8 to 7 different people on a team. And they had roles. So... Gene Johns asking about reverse grid in F1. The only time the reverse grid would work would be like the sprint race in some form. So, when is FP2 about? I believe that's a good question. So it's 7:30. So about 2.5 hours. FP2 will start shortly after this stream ends. You'll be able to be moved to the FP2 stream. And then, having said that, after that, if you want to continue talking, there's the Discord channel. Again, this practice has ended. We've got Verstappen 1, Perez 2, Ocon 3, De Vries 3, Gasly 5, Alonso 6, Magnussen 7. The Ferraris are 8 and 9th, and Russell's P10. So, again, I want to give. Again, I'm just need to bring this to an end right now. I want to thank you all from coming. Can't take any more questions right now. Throw them into the Discord server. I'll put the link in one more time. Or ask me again in the FP2 session. Again, thank you for coming. See you in about 2 hours when the stream starts up again. 2.5 hours when green lights. I'll be here for FP2. See you in a little bit. We'll back in a little bit.